What's going on, guys? Stephanie here from AmericanMuscle.com, here with my top cold air intake picks for the 2015 and newer Ecoboost Mustang. The purpose of this video is to show you my top 3 options that are on the site when it comes to cold air intakes for this car, and I made my picks based off of my personal experience, customer reviews, and the popularity of the intake. There are a few different styles of cold air intakes for the Ecoboost Mustang, so I'm hoping that if you're not sure exactly where to start with your shopping, this video will help you out some. So I'll walk you through my 3 different picks and explain a little bit about the intake. I'm not going to go into full detail about the intakes since this isn't a product video, but if you want any more information about the intake that I'm talking about, always feel free to visit the product page and check them out more for yourself. And if you guys want to see more videos like this one, or some other cool content like racing, car shows, burnouts, news, or anything Mustang related, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, American Muscle Videos, so you don't miss out. So with the S550, there are a couple of new things to consider, especially when it comes to the Ecoboost. The S550 has a factory closed element airbox that has a direct cold air feed from the grill of the car. Now when you start looking at aftermarket cold air intakes, you'll notice that there are a few different designs. You have a standard open element with a heat shield. Then you also have an open element with a more comprehensive heat shield that still taps into the cold air feed that the factory airbox does. Then you have your closed element airbox that keeps the cold air feed. So there are some different choices there. The next thing that's different is the fact that the Ecoboost is a speed density car, and that's going to change things. Normally you're shopping for a tune or no tune required intake, but since the Ecoboost is a speed density car and it doesn't have a mass airflow sensor, all of the aftermarket cold air intakes are no tune required. So no matter what intake you go with, none will require a tune to be installed. You can bolt on any intake and save for a tune later on if you want to. All of that being said, let's take a look at what I picked as one of the more basic designs for the Ecoboost. This is the K&N Series 63 Air Charger high performance cold air intake, and I call this a basic design because you're looking at an open element style with a heat shield. This is a great option for people that are looking for a budget-friendly aftermarket cold air intake to clean up the looks of the engine bay. Just like you typically see with all of the cold air intake options, this one comes with a reusable air filter, and it's an oiled filter, just so you guys know. And style-wise, you're looking at a simple intake tube with a subtle logo and the black heat shield. It's not flashy, but it's subtle and will definitely help with the underhood looks department in my opinion. If the K&N doesn't do it for you, then you might want to check out one of those hybrid styles that I talked about earlier. The Roush Cold Air Kit is also an open element intake, but it keeps the direct cold air feed from the grill of the car. So it brings in that air from the outside. It's more of a true cold air setup in my opinion because of that. The other difference here is that the shroud has a foam seal around the top, which is meant to seal out the hot engine compartment air. This is going to act as a separator, so the intake is only taking in air from that cold air feed. The Roush does have one of the larger air filters that I've seen too, and of course it's also reusable. This is a dry air filter though, which means that it won't be oiled and that you won't need to oil it after you clean it. If you look at the price, this is on the more expensive side of things, but this is a pretty unique intake. It doesn't have a simple design and it has a little bit of a larger filter. The last intake that I'm going to talk about is the C&L Cold Air Intake. This intake is a closed element intake that also keeps the direct cold air feed in the grill. I consider this intake as having all of the bells and whistles because of its design. I would say that this intake is one of the ones that brings the most benefits to the table because of that. This intake offers some of the lowest intake air temps for the Ecoboost that we've seen, and the sealed airbox is a big help with that. Of course, you have the reusable air filter and it is oiled, and I think that this intake has one of the best fit and finishes out of all of the intakes available for the Ecoboost. All of C&L's products are made in the USA, which is just another reason to like them. The airbox and the intake tube are made from rotomolded plastic, and like the K&N, this intake is also subtle with its styling. You can see everything is black, and the C&L logo on the intake tube is stamped into the plastic. There's nothing flashy that's going to stand out here, and this is your cover for the airbox. It's plexiglass, so you'll be able to see through to your filter. If you ever need to get to your filter, you just remove this lid so you don't have to take the whole airbox apart. All of these features do mean that the C&L will be on the more expensive side of things if you compare it to the cost of other cold air intake options on the site, but in my opinion, it's totally worth it. So those are going to be my top 3 choices when it comes to cold air intakes for the 2015 and newer Ecoboost Mustang. Keep in mind that these are just suggestions for you based off of my personal experience and customer feedback and reviews. There is a whole product page on the website here that'll show you every single option that we currently carry, so these aren't the end-all or the be-all of cold air intakes. And if you want more info on any of the intakes that I talked about in this video, please feel free to visit the product page. I'm Stephanie, and don't forget, for all things Mustang, keep it right here at AmericanMuscle.com, and make sure to subscribe to American Muscle videos on YouTube for more cool content.